Thanks for tuning in Summary MMA. In this video, Dana White wants Mexican Independence Day card at the Las Vegas Sphere. Tony Ferguson says he is not even close to being done fighting. Alex Pereira pranks Glover Teixeira into eating restaurant napkin. Renato Moicano believes he can finish Dan Hooker in the first round. For several years, a mysterious spherical structure has been built on the Las Vegas Strip, teasing visitors in recent months with its wraparound LED screens, transforming the giant orb into a planet, a basketball, or even a blinking eyeball. Most recently, the Sphere has made headlines across the world following its public debut this weekend with 2 concerts by the Irish rock band U2. And according to CEO Dana White, even though the venue doesn't have any other live performers scheduled, the UFC could be among the first wave to host a show in the big Sphere.
The last question I would ask, there was a story that came out today in SBJ that you would be interested in doing a show at the Sphere, obviously the hot new property. Is that just more like a, hey, we'll check it out, or is that like, we got to do a show inside this, amazing new venue?
No, it's not a check it out. I mean, I'm sure you guys that are here in Vegas, I mean, everybody was buzzing about the U2 concert on Saturday. They said it was incredible. The guys from MSG, whom I have a great relationship with, the guys who own it, MSG does everything right. Everybody that went, usually, let me tell you what happens, and you've probably been a part of this. When a restaurant opens for the first night, when a hotel opens for the first night, it's a shit show. And there's lots of bad things. They're trying to figure it out. I haven't heard one negative thing about the opening of the Sphere. The exact opposite. Everybody talked about how incredible it was. And I'll tell you this, when you go to arenas in this city, right? And let's say you own a box or you go in a box, the food is horrendous. The food is unexplainably fucking disgusting. Let's just start there. What I heard, I didn't go, but what I heard is the food was outrageously over the top good. Everybody's experience getting in and out was good. From what I hear, the guys at MSG couldn't have hit a bigger home run with the opening of the Sphere. So it's not a meh, let's see how this goes. I mean, these guys are one of the biggest and best in all of the arena business, and they fly into Las Vegas. First of all, the balls to open that place and to do what they're doing. And then to come in and hit an absolute grand slam home run with the opening. And you all know that I want that date. That's what I want. I want to do Mexican Independence Day there. Imagine the show that I can put on at the Sphere with Mexican Independence Day. So, yeah, we'll fucking put on an incredible show in that amazing arena for the next Mexican Independence Day. So I'm very excited about it.
Recently, the UFC announced the lightweight bout between former UFC interim champion Tony Ferguson and Liverpool fighter Paddy Pimblett at UFC 296. The announcement caused a controversial reaction on fans and the media, who went on social media to express their dislike of this matchup, due to Ferguson being on a 6-fight losing streak at the tail end of his career, and Paddy being this up-and-coming fighter that has potential to become a superstar for the UFC. On the other hand, there are many fans and media members who support Ferguson and believe this is a very winnable fight for the former interim champion. This exact storyline is why Dana White was on board with making the fight. Here's what the UFC CEO had to say to the media. I think a lot of people think that Paddy isn't proven, and I think a lot of people feel that Tony isn't in deep water like he's been in his last several fights. I think the matchmaking and the timing on this fight is excellent and couldn't be more perfect. If you look at Tony's last few fights that he's fought, he looked damn good before the Michael Chandler finish, and every fight that he's fought on the last 2-3 fights. He looked damn good right until the end. So, it's a fun, interesting fight with 2 fun and interesting characters. White went along and mentioned that another loss for Ferguson would probably be the end for El Kakui competing in MMA. I would let Tony make that decision, but I'm sure if he loses to Paddy he would probably look at calling it. He's had a great career. Done a lot of things, had a lot of big fights. That would probably be a wrap for him. Hopefully. Former UFC champion Daniel Cormier thinks Tony Ferguson may have one more night in him versus Paddy Pimblett. I'm going to tell you this right now, and this is the saying as old as time, fellas. Every great champion has one more night in him. We saw it with George Foreman when he beat Michael Moorer. He did not belong in the ring with Michael Moorer. We have seen so many great fighters have one great night, where if you close your eyes and you squint enough, they remind you of that person that was on that run. Ex-UFC fighter Brandon Schaub doesn't understand some of the backlash he has seen online about this matchup, and many saying they think this should have been the type of fight for Ferguson. When this first got announced, a close friend of mine texted me saying, "It's not announced yet, but I think they're doing Tony Ferguson versus Paddy Pimblett," and I go, finally. Finally Tony gets a winnable fight. Not that it's an easy fight, but look at his last 7 fights. Bobby Green, he got submitted, that was a tough one. But Nate Diaz, which was short notice, Michael Chandler, Dariush, Charles Oliveira, and Justin Gaethje. Before that, it was Cerrone, Anthony Pettis, Kevin Lee, Dos Anjos. What? Look at who he's fighting. Even though Schaub sees Ferguson as the better fighter of the two fighters, he still stayed away from making an early prediction. Schaub mainly refuses the idea that Ferguson is just an easy stepping stone for Pimblett. I'm not saying I'm picking Tony to win. I'm just saying this isn't a terrible fight for Tony. It's not some weird fight where the UFC is feeding some young lion this old weathered veteran. El Kakui is a big underdog against Pimblett, but Sonnen says Ferguson has fought much tougher competition than that. Paddy the Baddy is going to get whipped by Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson's a tough night for anybody, and Tony only has fought real killers. These guys that have gotten the nudge on Tony are the best of the best. Tony Ferguson until just recently has been ranked in the top 10 for his entire career. Pimblett is a -380 favorite over Ferguson, who is a +300 underdog. Sonnen disagrees with the betting line and is siding with the former interim lightweight champ. He thinks Pimblett's year-long layoff due to ankle surgery will play a factor. A guy being on a skid while being active is a much better situation than a guy sitting out. This isn't a hard bet. In an interview with Ariel Helwani for the MMA Hour, Ferguson said he is reunited with his old team, and insists that he hasn't lost a step despite his losing streak showing otherwise. Although he is aware of the narrative that the UFC could be using him to continue building Pimblett's star power, the 39-year-old said his desire to compete is still there. "I don't want to retire. It's not in my fucking thought process. It's not about getting cut. It's not about doing all this stuff. It's about competing. And what I did was I started competing without, 1, having fun, and 2, really giving 100% into my training. I thought I did, but that means I have to be coachable. I have to be a student again. I have to ask for help. What do you think? Who is going to win this bout, the veteran or the prospect? And do you think Tony Ferguson should retire no matter the outcome of the fight?" Not too long after Pereira's sons posted a video on social media, pulling a fast one on his old man, Alex Pereira paid it forward against his longtime friend and coach Glover Teixeira. In a video posted to his Instagram page, Pereira made Glover Teixeira believe a folded napkin is some sort of a special sushi dish. Here is the hilarious prank video.
Olha só a sacanagem que eu vou fazer com o Glover. Papel, guardanapo, lavar a mão, eu vou falar pra ele que é de comer. Vou falar pra ele aqui. Fala pra ele filmar, esconde, filma aqui assim mesmo. Aí, trazer bom, tá dentinho.
Bom, hein, velho? Bom.
Tá dentinho esse aqui.
Porra, velho.
Hey, guys.
According to UFC lightweight fighter Renato Moicano, Michael Chandler needs to wake up. He has been on the sidelines for nearly 1 year now, while waiting for the Conor McGregor fight to materialize. We are 1 month and a half past the TUF 31 last episode airing, and we haven't heard a set return date for McGregor yet. On the MMA Hour this past Monday, Moicano said Chandler is wasting his time.
So you're good to go? You're 100% now?
I would not say 100%. Depends. You know, if I know Tony Ferguson went to the show. Man, I could beat Paddy Pimblett even with no knee, brother. If that was Paddy Pimblett, I would beat him with one leg. But since we are professionals and we are fighting UFC, I'm not clear yet. But December, I will be good to go. And I am already on training, and I have my eyes on some people. You know, the division is a mess right now. As you can see, like people, like we have guys like Michael Chandler, like he's delusional right now. Conor is not gonna fight him. I don't think we're going to. Maybe never again, because I don't know. Conor is on another level of craziness right now. We can see from the past 2 years how many polemics and how many stuff he's been doing outside UFC, and I think he loves the attention, but he doesn't like to fight anymore. So Chandler, get over, my brother. You're not gonna have this fight, and I don't know what Chandler is going to do, but other than that, we have the title fight, of course, Charles Oliveira, and we have a couple guys like Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier. I don't know what these guys are going to do, but we have guys like Dan Hooker. He doesn't have a fight. I would love to finish him on the first round. On the first round, my brother. Because, Ariel, I am the best jiu-jitsu of the division right now. I have 10 rear naked choke finished. 10. We don't see anybody that had 10 rear naked choke.
Sure.
And I guarantee you, if he accepts to fight me, I will finish him the first round.
Yes, I saw your tweet. We're showing it on the screen now. You said, hopefully soon. Is this the fight that they're talking about, you versus Dan Hooker?
Yes, I don't know what's going on. I think Dan Hooker, he's want to fight Dustin Poirier, but that fight is not gonna happen. You know, from what I heard, he's waiting on Dustin Poirier. But let's be honest, Dustin Poirier doesn't have to fight Dan Hooker, because he already beat Dan Hooker, and Dustin is on another level too of legacy, of like title fights. I think Dustin will fight RDA. I don't know why. I'd never heard any conversation about that, but that a fight that makes sense. He can go to 170. RDA was a former 155 champion. But my whole problem with the division right now is Dan Hooker. I want to fight Dan Hooker, you know. If Dan Hooker doesn't want to fight, I can fight Jalin Turner. We already agreed on the fight a couple months ago. I was scrolling to Instagram, and he was asking for a fight, and I say, hey, I can go even November, you know. And he say, okay, let's do that. And people are not sending me the contract. I don't know what's going on, but can be both, you know. Dan Hooker is better because he's above on the rankings, but Jalin Turner can have it too, can be finished on the first round too.
He went along with the interview saying he is ready to fight and he would love to fight Dan Hooker next. Hooker suffered a fractured orbital bone, as well as a broken arm in his last fight against Jalin Turner, which required surgery. After going through the recovery process, Hooker said he's now received clearance to continue fighting. Renato Moicano didn't take long to respond for Hooker's tweet, but it remains to be seen which direction the matchmakers decide to go. What do you think? Do you like that matchup? And who do you think would win this bout?